It's adoption day! You can't do that.
It was the jump.
We're on the wrong side right now. Switch sides. There, this is better.
It must be Saturday. We're gonna talk about adoption stuff because that's what we do on Saturdays, and we're gonna talk about something that's maybe a little controversial.
Warning, if you get hashtag triggered, buckle up.
Hashtag easily offended, hashtag the worst. So we're gonna talk about some stuff that may cause you to panic. Nope, that's not the word I want.
Panic is a good word.
Also panic.
We're gonna go with panic.
And it may be a little bit uncomfortable, but here's some of our thoughts on a subject that is the worst.
That was the worst.
That wasn't good.
So
yeah.
we recently we recently saw a Facebook post from one of our friends from Clara's Hope, talking about what did they say? The hero
complex in adoption.
Yep.
Well, I mean, from the article's perspective, right? It was talking about like having conversations that your kids hear, which we have another vlog about, or another thing that we've talked about. That the things that your kids overhear, and one of those phrases that I do remember hearing, and I know that is said a lot, is "Don't they feel lucky?" or "Aren't they fortunate?" You know, or I've had people say that to me. Aren't you fortunate that you were adopted and got to be raised in whatever
white suburban America?
And sure, but that's not really the fortunate part, like to the point where the cultural expectation is that the adoptee is supposed to express continual gratitude.
Oh, thank you, Father-san, for adopting me.
You're a terrible person. You're not allowed to be on camera anymore. This is the worst.
And it's so weird. Like, it is almost normalized in the sense. I mean, look at Harry Potter, for instance. Harry Potter, he was adopted by his family, and they kept him underneath a staircase. And then every time he'd come out to eat or whatever, they're like, "Man, you should be so thankful to us because we took care of you with your dead parents who hated your guts and all this other stuff." It's normal.
Which isn't even to say that our parents never would have expected that. Like, my parents never once ever expressed anything that would have made me think that I need to be grateful or express continual gratitude for the fact that they adopted me. That was never part of their plan. That was never who they were. They adopted me and loved me because I'm theirs. And that was always true. But just because that was never the intention doesn't mean that it's not something that I felt.
For a long time, I felt like I owed my parents something. Even though it's not true, and when we have conversations now, it's definitely not true. But the mindset was that my parents saved me from something that could have been. And a lot of this actually started coming up whenever I was really sick. We talked about this before. And whenever I was super sick, I felt like I was just being a drain on resources, on time, on their relationship, because they were constantly taking care of me. And if they didn't have me to deal with or to worry about, then they could be focusing on a lot of other stuff. And I mean, this comes up for just kids in general a lot of the times, whenever they're going through something really hard or really difficult in their lives. But the fact that I was adopted made me even think even further about this stuff. It's like, if I wasn't here right now, then they could be off doing something else. They could be happier, they could be more successful. It doesn't matter, the list goes on and on. But again, it's never true. My parents have never once said, "Hey, you should be grateful, or we did save you." But it doesn't mean that the thought never came up.
Constantly being told that, aren't you lucky? Aren't you fortunate to be raised in the environment that you're raised in, does create a cultural narrative. And for me, it definitely created a narrative in which I felt not as if I was blessed, but that I needed to count my blessings. Mm-hmm. And again, that's never something that my parents would have instilled in me, but it was something that constantly being reminded of it did instill in me in a way that I don't think it's instilled in children that are not the product of adoption. And that's something that I think people say kind of innocuously, that they want to be supportive or helpful, but it's when it's something that's constantly told to you, it's not how it comes across. Let's be honest for a second about something. There are some people out there are some parents out there are some cultures out there that do have a hero complex when it comes to adoption. Be honest with yourself about it. We've seen it. We've encountered it. We've seen people that adopt for the sake of feeling good about themselves. It's not to raise an adult that they adopt to rescue a child.
Yep.
And that's not a good enough reason to adopt.
That is not why you're supposed to go and adopt people. Yeah, sure, there are some children out there that need rescuing, they need help. But if that's all you're going for, you're missing the whole point of adoption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The purpose of adoption is to create an heir. You're not bringing somebody in to treat them as if they're your own. You're bringing somebody in as your own. Yep. That's your kid, and your kid in every sense of the term. Which brings us to an interesting point that we're going to harp on a lot, which is talking about the fact that the purpose of having a child is not to have a child. The purpose is to raise a functional adult.
Yep.
And this is especially true in adoption, and so we've encountered this all over the place, and it's kind of sad. It's a little infuriating that there are those parents out there that that feel that they need to just rescue kids, and they've never thought beyond what it's going to be like to have that child in their home because they're doing something so altruistic. But that translates into this whole idea of the narrative of gratitude.
I mean, the other side of it is too, you know, there are some parents out there that feel like they've messed up their own kids and they want to try again. And honestly, unfortunately, it is a true thing that they want to be able to try again. And so they go and adopt a child in order to try a new style of parenting. Listen, people, that is not why you adopt. You adopt because you see potential in them to be a part of your family, and then you raise them to be a part of your family, and so that they can carry on your legacy for generations and generations to come.
That's a whole nother video, but that's coming.
Buckle up.
So that may have ruffled some feathers a little bit, and you may be thinking to yourself something like, that's not me. How dare they say that people adopt for not altruistic reasons?
Wrong with them, those Asian jerks.
Guys, what do they know? They were just adopted as children. And now they're adults that have actually thought this through.
How dare they think? That's not why we adopt children. We don't raise them to be thinkers. We just offended so many people.
We really did.
There.
I wonder if people are still tuning in. Are you still there? Not sorry. From the perspective of adopted adults that have been through all of these things and come out the other side of it as adults that are well adjusted and mostly mature, part of our perspective is also this, that there's a lot that any kid will go through, whether or not they were adopted, because that's just what adolescence and childhood are. There are a lot of learning experiences, and at the end of the day, if you've set out to raise an adult and your child matures and grows up and moves out and goes on to do their own things, which is the purpose, which is the point, a lot of this stuff, it just is what it is. It's not going to be a huge thing that I would dwell on for, the rest of your life or anything like that. Kids are going to be kids, and they're going to grow up into adults, and at 34, very little of this stuff is as meaningful or impactful as I would have made it out to be at 10.
So those are our thoughts. Let us know what your guys' thoughts are about this whole subject. We want to be able to create a dialogue with you. Do you feel like this is an epidemic that is taking over the adoption culture, or do you feel like it's already been there, and how do we fix it? Let us know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe as well. We want to be able to start this conversation. And hey, if you have a friend out there that is in the adoption realm, share this to them because they'll love us.
Again, we're Brett and Dave O from AGA Productions. We're doing a lot of stuff talking about adoption because that is a reality in our lives. And we get a lot of this information and a lot of our inspiration from our good friends over at Clara's Hope. Thank you for watching. And again, yes, we're adopted.
Stop making it weird.
See, and then this face, it just makes it weird.